You ever see a kid so entitled he thinks your backyard is his personal water park? Well, that's exactly what happened to me last summer. And let me tell you, it didn't end the way he expected. It was a scorching July afternoon, the kind of day when the heat presses down like a weight. I had just finished mowing the lawn, sweat dripping off my brow, when I heard a splash coming from my pool. At first I thought maybe I had left the filter running. But then came laughter, carefree, loud, and absolutely not belonging to anyone invited. I walked around the side of the house and froze. There he was, Karen's teenage son, lounging on a bright green inflatable like he owned the place. His sneakers were kicked off carelessly on the grass. His phone propped on a chair recording the whole thing for Snapchat. My blood boiled instantly. This wasn't some neighborhood prank. This was a trespass, plain and simple. Now, if you've never dealt with Karen, let me paint the picture. She's the HOA president, the type who counts your Christmas lights in December and measures your grass in June. And her son, he's the poster child for arrogance, raised to believe the rules apply to everyone except him. I guess he thought my fence was just a suggestion, not a boundary. I clenched my jaw, thinking about all the fines Karen had slapped on me for unsightly trash bins or decorative clutter. Yet, here was her kid, dripping chlorine across my yard, breaking the very rules his mother loved to enforce. Before I could say a word, though, the real star of the show arrived, my German shepherd, Rex. He trotted out from the porch, ears perked, eyes locked on the intruder. Now Rex is a gentle giant with family, but to strangers, he's all muscle and authority. The kind of dog whose bark rattles your ribcage. Karen's son spotted him and froze mid-laugh, his inflatable raft spinning slightly as panic crept across his face. "Call him off!" he yelled, his voice cracking. But Rex wasn't doing anything yet, just circling the pool, low growls rumbling like thunder. I crossed my arms watching. Part of me wanted to march right up and drag the kid out by the scruff of his neck, but another part of me thought maybe a little fear of consequences wasn't such a bad lesson. And that, my friends, is when things really started to unravel. Rex's growl deepened, and the sound rolled across the yard like distant thunder. The kid was frozen, gripping the edge of the inflatable raft as if it could protect him. His bravado from earlier had drained out as quickly as the chlorine dripping from his hair. I walked closer, my boots crunching against the gravel path, arms still folded across my chest. "Enjoying the pool?" I asked, my voice calm but sharp enough to slice through the summer air. He stammered, I was just cooling off. It's hot out, you know?" His eyes darted between me and Rex, who had now crouched low, his muscles coiled, tail stiff like a spring ready to snap. "You don't live here," I said flatly. "So why are you in my pool?" The kid's smirk tried to return, but his lips quivered too much to hold it steady. "My mom said it's a community space." I actually laughed out loud at that one. "Community space? Kid, this is my backyard, surrounded by my fence. Your mom doesn't own this property, and neither do you. Get out, now!" Rex barked once, loud, booming, and final. The kid practically levitated off the raft, scrambling to the pool's edge. Water sloshed over the concrete as he climbed out, dripping and shaking, his phone still miraculously recording from the chair. "Call him off!" he cried again, hugging himself as Rex crept closer, teeth flashing just enough to make the point clear. I snapped my fingers and Rex halted, sitting tall like the well-trained soldier he was. His gaze never left the intruder, though. That dog had more discipline than most people I knew. "Shoes, phone, and then you're out," I ordered. The kid blinked. "What?" "No way, this is my phone!" "You record trespassing on my property. You leave with nothing until I decide otherwise," I said. "Or Rex here escorts you out." That settled it. He fumbled with his sneakers, shoved them under his arm, and grabbed his phone. But before he could scurry off, a shrill, piercing voice cut through the neighborhood. "Jason, what are you doing over there?" "Karen, of course." She stormed through the open gate, her hands already flying in indignation, eyes locked on me like I was the criminal. "There you are, Mom!" Jason squeaked, rushing to her side, dripping water onto the grass as though he hadn't just been caught trespassing. Red-handed, Karen planted herself between me and her son, chin high, jaw tight. "You will not threaten my child with that beast of yours. This is harassment, and I'll have the police here in minutes." I smiled slowly. "Good, let's call them. I'll show them the video he was recording." Her face paled, Karen's face twisted, caught between outrage and panic. For the first time in years of living under her HOA reign, I had leverage. Jason shifted nervously behind her, still dripping water on my grass, while Rex sat calmly at my heel like a silent judge. "You wouldn't dare!" she snapped, but her voice trembled just enough to betray her. "Oh, I would," I replied smoothly. "And the beauty of it? I wouldn't have to say a word. The video your son recorded speaks for itself. Him trespassing, breaking and entering, and oh, look, stealing my pool time for social media clout. I bet the cops will love that. Jason's face turned crimson. Mom, he's bluffing. Just call the police. Karen whipped her phone from her pocket, dialing with the dramatic flair of someone who thought they were about to win. You'll regret this, she hissed, pressing it to her ear. I crossed my arms, utterly calm. Rex yawned, as if bored of the theatrics. And within minutes, the wail of sirens floated down the street. 2 patrol cars pulled up, lights flashing. The officers stepped out, hands resting on their belts. One of them, Officer Daniels, recognized me immediately. Afternoon, sir. Everything okay here? Karen bolted forward, finger stabbing the air in my direction. That man threatened my son with his vicious dog. He let it terrorize him in the pool. We demand you arrest him immediately. The officers blinked, glancing at Jason, still dripping, shivering, and looking like the world's worst liar. Then their eyes shifted to me. Sir? Daniels asked politely. I didn't move a muscle. I just pointed to Jason's phone, still clutched tight in his wet hand. Check the video, I said. Jason froze. No, that's private. Daniels raised an eyebrow. Son, if there's evidence of a crime, we'll need to see it. He held out his hand, and reluctantly, Jason surrendered the phone. Within seconds, the truth was glowing on the screen. Jason hopping my fence, Jason laughing in my pool, Jason's panicked cries when Rex showed up, and my calm voice telling him to leave. The officers' expressions hardened. Daniels turned to Karen. Ma'am, your son trespassed on private property. Your neighbor here handled the situation responsibly. No crime on his part. Karen sputtered, color flooding her cheeks. But his dog! That animal could have killed my boy. Daniels shook his head. The dog didn't attack. He's trained. What I see is your son breaking the law. Your lucky charges aren't being pressed right now. The silence was sweet. For once, Karen had no immediate comeback. Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water, but no words came. Jason stood behind her, dripping guilt and pool water in equal measure. Rex let out a low huff, as if he too was unimpressed with their performance. Officer Daniels handed the phone back to me. You've got clear evidence, he said. If you want to press charges, it's your right. I turned the device over in my hand, watching Jason squirm. The thought of dragging Karen and her son into court was tempting, poetic even. But I wasn't sure I wanted months of drama. What I did want was control. I'll make you a deal, I said, staring Karen down. Your son stays out of my yard, out of my pool, and out of my life. One more incident, just one, and I'll hand this footage straight to the prosecutor's office. No warnings next time. Jason's eyes widened. Mom? Karen spun on him, her voice dripping venom. Do you have any idea what you've done? She hissed. It was the first time I'd ever seen her scold him instead of defending his antics. The officers exchanged glances, clearly holding back smirks. Daniels gave me a respectful nod. Sounds like a fair resolution. We'll leave it at that unless you call us again. With that, the cruisers pulled away, leaving Karen and Jason standing awkwardly in my yard. For once, she wasn't in charge. She couldn't find me, couldn't bully me, couldn't twist the story. She had been caught, and everyone knew it. Come on, Jason! She snapped, grabbing his arm. We're leaving. They shuffled out through the gate, Karen muttering threats under her breath, Jason still clutching his shoes and dripping water onto the sidewalk. I waited until the gate clicked shut before finally letting out the laugh I'd been holding in. Rex sat proudly at my side, tail wagging now that the intruders were gone. I knelt to scratch behind his ears. Good job, buddy. You just saved me a whole summer of headaches. Over the next few weeks, the neighborhood buzzed with gossip. Everyone knew what had happened. Karen's iron grip on the HOA slipped as people realized she wasn't untouchable. Parents kept their kids closer, fences felt taller, and Jason, he couldn't look me in the eye again. The best part? Every time Karen tried to bring up some petty violation at the next HOA meeting, someone would cough the word, pool, and the entire room would burst into laughter. Her reign of terror was over. Not because I fought back with anger, but because her own arrogance had sunk her. And Rex, he got a brand new steak that night. He earned it. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.